Hey everybody, Average Vintage Collector here with another video. So I am finally home from my vacation. My family and I were on vacation in Maine and New Hampshire the last week. I put up a video while we were away. We did a stop at Don's Card Shop in Portland, Maine, which was a really nice store, really beautiful store. We spent the rest of most of that week in Maine, and then our last couple days we went home to New Hampshire. Or not home to New Hampshire, we went to New Hampshire to do a couple days there before we traveled the rest of the way home. While in New Hampshire, I yet again tracked down another card shop. Now this place was much, much different than the card shop that I went to in Portland. This was called Top of the Steps Stairs. I had kind of just looked online and found that it came up in a search. I talked to the person that ran it previous to going because it appeared as though the shop was open every single day, and I really wanted to make sure that that was the case. So I did talk to him. He ran the shop out of his garage at his house, and on the day that I wanted to go, he wasn't going to be there, so made arrangements to meet him on Saturday, the day before we left. Driving to this place, it was really in the middle of nowhere, and we pulled up, we parked. My wife and kids didn't want to come in. They weren't interested, so I got out of the truck, and I started walking towards the garage where I saw the sign, Top of the Steps, card shop. And from the house, there was a sliding glass door, and the screen was open, and I heard a voice that said, "Go on in, help yourself. If you see anything, bring it out, and, come and see me." And I said, "Oh, okay, sure." So I went to the garage, and I will tell you, this garage resembled more of a flea market type atmosphere than a card shop. There were cards of all kinds everywhere. There were two big stands that had some cards on them that were in top loaders, and those had some prices on them. They seemed a bit high for me, so I didn't really know what to expect with everything else, because everything else was strewn all over the tops of the counters and in binders and boxes, and there were boxes that were labeled certain things. Let's say a complete set of 93 hockey or something like that. So you kind of just go through, and I'm not wanting my family to sit in the car a whole lot of time, and what I'm seeing right away is that there's not a whole lot of vintage here. Most of it is nostalgia from the 80s, 90s, junk wax, but I was like a kid in a candy shop. Like, there was so much stuff that was catching my eye, because it wasn't just necessarily the 87 Tops, 88 Donruss, whatever it was. There was some weird stuff in there, and some stuff that I don't necessarily see every day. So I started going through little piles at first, made a small pile for myself, and then I started going through. And once I hit all the top part, all the stuff that was loose, I started going through binders. Well, you open up a page of a binder, and there's 9 random cards in it. And you turn the page, it's completely different, something else. You turn the page, and I'm telling you, there were binders upon binders upon binders upon binders and things. And then you get back to the boxes, and you open up the boxes, and some of them aren't labeled, and some of them are, but you find that every single box, whether it's labeled or not, again, more crazy randomness in there. It would have taken me weeks to go through everything. So I went through a bunch of stuff. Once I finished buying, I went into the store, into the guy's house with my stack of cards, and it was an older gentleman in his 80s for sure. Looks like he might be wheelchair bound, and he was surrounded by cards in a TV tray with some apple juice or something on it. And so he said, "Well, let's see what you have." And he took my stack, and he would go through one card at a time, and he would only go based off of the name of the player. So, for example, he'd say, "Oh, Ozzie Smith, he's a good player." And I'd say, yeah, he was a good player. And then we get to a Nolan Ryan, he's a good player. And he'd do this for every card. And every 10 cards or so, he'd say, $5? What am I going to say? No. This was a really nice older guy who probably doesn't get a lot of company, so I was willing to overpay for a lot of the things that I bought. So in the end, I ended up spending $60. I got 89 cards, and I walked out thinking, well, you know what? I overpaid, but I was happy to overpay. And then I traveled home, and I kind of looked up a couple of things that I purchased, and I was surprised to find out that I might have got a better deal than I bargained for. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show the cards. I'm going to show them in quick succession. There is very little vintage, but there is a little bit of vintage. So stick around if you want to see the vintage. Stick around if you want to see the junk wax. Stick around if you want to see the whole thing. There's some cool stuff. So let's turn the camera around. All right. So to start some things off, we're going to go through these pretty quickly, right? I said there was a little bit of vintage, and there was. This guy right here, there was really no negotiating on this one. Listed price for $5, so I paid $5. And that was for the 64 scratch off Lou Aparicio. I thought this was a good card. I did not have this card. I only have one other card like that, and that's a Boog Powell. So we'll get into some of these others. There is more vintage, actually. And it's right here. And these were the surprise. So these cards right here, I was really surprised at. I bought these for maybe $2 or $3 total. And after looking online, they sell for like anywhere between $6 and $15. These are from 1960 Fleer. And they are team decal stickers. But they are so cool. Such cool stuff. There's the Reds, Orioles, old school White Sox, old school Phillies, mean looking Cardinal there, kind of cool. How about Wahoo Joe, Indians, and the Chicago Cubs. Now this guy, I did not know, again, there was no pricing on anything, so I didn't really know what to expect, so I didn't take too much of anything, but he had boatloads of these, and I really regret not taking more. So, but that was a great deal, and I think of itself, if I paid, and I did pay $60 for everything I'm showing today, that alone probably covers half of it. So I think I got a really good deal. All right, real quick. So I got this smaller Allen and Ginter Pujols. This card is awesome. It is the Nolan Ryan Robin Ventura fight iconic scene. It says 1 of 15,000. Not really sure what set it's from, but I thought that was cool. I'm not a basketball guy, but how often can you go anywhere and get a Michael Jordan card or a few Michael Jordan cards for maybe $1 a piece, if that. So I'll take these all day long. I'm good with that. And then all, very good players. There's Roger Clemens. I got a Fisk, which is, nothing crazy. There's another Carlton Fisk. Then there was stuff like this of Mike Mussina from the Topps Finest set, which Topps Finest makes such great cards. Randy Johnson. And all big names. There's the 86 Tony Gwynn. How about a Reggie Jackson, Sports Illustrated, right? I've never seen that one before. A Clark Bar, Reggie Jackson, Upper Deck, I don't know, never seen that one. Little Bernie action. Shininess there. Some more Bernie. Just some big names growing up. This Topps Finest set, I think this was 95 or 94. I love that set. There's a Larkin. How about a Jeff Bagwell? Very cool. Frank Thomas. I'll take these cards all day long. I love these. Canseco in a Red Sox uniform. How about a Glavine? Dawson. And again, we've seen these cards by the boatload. We know they exist in mass, but, that's okay. This one is a triple. This is Nolan Ryan, Jack Morris, Dave Righetti, Sports Flicks. I don't know. There we go. Got all three there. There we go. How about an Eddie Murray? This is a reprint of a Mickey Mantle All-Star card. I'm not actually even sure he had a All-Star. I'm sure he did. I don't really know that set that well. The original set was 58 maybe. John Franco signing autographs for the people in the stands. That's a cool card. How about a John Smoltz? Some shininess action going on there. Won't turn down a Henderson of any kind. How about a Bo Jackson in the White Sox uniform? A really cool shot of George Brett. I like that one. Some more pretty cool shininess. There's Pedro Martinez and a Nomar Garciaparra. Another Clemens. How about another Clemens? This one is a Kellogg's, still in its packaging here. It's Tony Perez. And then a shiny Bagwell. And on the way out, I also found this. This is a 93 score Joe DiMaggio exclusive set. So it says right on the front there, you can see the sticker, 1 of 200,000 sets. Now, the interesting thing about this is that there was 9,000 Joe DiMaggio cards in 1993 of this set that were autographed, which is amazing. I can't believe that in 93 there were 9,000 cards that were out of these 200,000 sets that were autographed. Now, I know for sure there's not one in here because they were clearly labeled on the back that if there was an autograph in there, it would tell you, which is kind of a weird marketing thing, but whatever. I don't think I'm going to open it up. It's not that expensive. I definitely overpaid for it. I gave him $20 for it. You can buy one on eBay right now for like $3.99. Same thing you're seeing here. But I think it's cool. I don't think at this point I'm going to open it. I just think it's a cool thing to have. And then we get into just some oversized stuff. So from the 85 All-Stars, there's Nolan Ryan, Doc Gooden, Ripken, Jim Rice, Ozzie Smith, Goose Gossage, Tim Raines, Keith Hernandez, and Big Dave Winfield. Very cool stuff to have. Here's another oversized. I don't necessarily know. This is Topps. I don't remember a year. 97 Topps, Ripken, oversized. Here is a 97 Topps Chrome, Sammy Sosa oversized card. Well, like I said, a little beat up, but that's okay. And then these last three, again, I probably should have got more, but I didn't know what I was looking at price-wise. This is 1980 Topps All-Stars, maybe. But again, way oversized. There's a Cesar Cedeno, Phil Niekro, and Ted Simmons. That's what the backs look like. So that was everything. That's 89 cards. If you include the 30 that are in that box, I paid $60 total for everything. I'm really pleasantly surprised with everything I had. So top of the steps card shop. If I get up there again, I will definitely give it another whirl. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Just an average guy showing average cards. We'll see you next time.